Hello everybody, this is Jude Sullivan, the fitness pastor. Thanks for checking out this video. I'm here with my friend Sean Casey. And as we tape this video, this is May, and May is Mental Health Awareness Month, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed.
Yeah. And so the reason I asked Sean to come and speak with me and to share with you is he posted some really, I would say, vulnerable and transparent information online in his social media, on Facebook and on Instagram, and it really moved me. And so thank you for doing that. And the thing about it is I think there's so many people can benefit from another person's perspective. And so I asked Sean to come and share his perspective, and we'll talk about that and maybe some other things as well. So again, Sean, thank you for being here and your willingness to share with me.
Well, thanks for inviting me. I appreciate sharing it. I think the more you share your story, the more you're able to give hope to other people who, either themselves are experiencing it or someone they know experiencing it. And that's, the big thing about, optimizing, mental health and, getting out of bad areas.
Right. So before we get into Sean's story, what I want to share with you is kind of this compromise or dilemma or whatever you want to call it about mental health in a healthcare arena, and really health in a healthcare arena. So what I did is I went to some online domains that are considered public health domains to get an idea of what is considered optimal mental health. And they don't really explain this. It's kind of like, what is good physical health? People don't explain health, whether it be mental or physical health, from a positive or optimized perspective. They look at it as an absence of disease. So the only way you're moving forward is by not having disease, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And then kind of as we were talking before, if you have a disease, all we're doing is we're into a disease management mode, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And so to me, that as somebody who's a customer or a consumer, we're both in the healthcare field, so we kind of see this. But if you're somebody who's really looking for legitimate resources, that can be a downer, right?
Oh, big time.
Where do you go for help? And if you're going to get help, what does that look like? Because you don't even know what you're going to get.
What it means.
Yeah, or what it means. So with that kind of being the context of this conversation, why don't we get specifically into your situation and how that happened. And just so you know, Sean was actually a student of mine in 2006. He was an undergrad at that time. And that's how we first came to meet one another. And I didn't know about a lot of his history as we were working together at the time. And since that time, not as only Sean a colleague of mine, he's a mentor as well. And so I really count on him for delivering information that I can use as an expert in the healthcare field too. So it's really neat to be able to have that perspective as well. We have a long history together that's been really good. We both enjoy each other's company, and so again, I'm so grateful that he's willing to share his story with you. So why don't we go back to maybe how you started your little conversation through your social media?
Okay. With when I first started having the issues.
Yeah.
Okay, I've had two different bouts of where I would say, by clinical definition and mental health issues. The first one happened when during my first year in university. I was fortunate where in high school I had success academically and with different leadership things, and I was full of confidence going into college. And once I got to college, I got overwhelmed with the amount of information that you could learn while there. And I felt like, it was almost like I felt like I was drinking water out of a fire hose. Like, I just couldn't keep up with it. Mm-hmm. And it started where I'd started doing like OCD type patterns. Like, one that sticks in my mind was, like my alarm clock before the days of cell phones, when you had to manually turn on like a flipping switch. Yeah. I would literally, before going to bed, this is just one example, like maybe, this is no joke, like 80 to 100 times, like like it was like a 10-minute process.
Hmm.
And I think that was my way of trying to be in control of that, because I felt like I wasn't in control of probably what's happening on with, academics. And it kind of started like that. And then I started, or almost felt like intellectually like inferior to everyone else there. Like, there's no way I'm going to be able to keep up with this. And from there, it, progressed till when I went home for Christmas break that first year with my family, where, I was having anxiety attacks. I was, kind of a shell of my former self in terms of, extremely confident to like, oh my gosh, I don't even think I'm gonna be able to graduate college. Like, maybe this isn't for me.
So what would an anxiety attack, was that experience like, if you would?
Oh, yeah, no problem. That was intense. The only way I can a good way to describe it is like if you're watching, be it a scary movie or someone's chasing you and your heart's just like, going super fast. It was like that feeling, except extended out over long time period, like 15, 20 minutes, where you just couldn't get your heart rate to slow down from max there. And super hot, like super warm, super, I remember my mom, the first time she saw it happen, mentioned like, Sean, like, you're bright red right now, like, what's going on? She could tell I was very, almost like jittery. It's almost like you had a pure adrenaline rush, but you didn't know how to control it over an emotion.
Wow, okay. All right. So you had a lot of these anxiety attacks, and you have them with family, and then you have them in school.
Mm-hmm.
And so what was the next step then?
Once I decided, talking with family, I decided like I need to get help with this. Like, this is controlling my life, type thing. And so I saw a psychiatrist. I did get on some medicine, which helped take the edge off some people do really good seeing psychologists. For me, that didn't do a whole lot for me, but if that's an option for some people, I definitely encourage. One of the things, or one couple of different things, once I was able to get the edge off, I started doing a little bit more volunteer work, just so I was doing something proactive, where I felt like I was helping other people that had nothing to do with academics. So that was a really good thing for mentally. I had great family support during the time. That was huge, just having people around meant a lot. So over time, once I was able to get the edge off, once I was able to get more involved, I started, putting out some good scores academically, and it just like slowly regained my confidence. And the one thing since that time period, because I'm not that I've had major episodes like that, but you have anxious moments here and there in life. And the two things that really help me now is when I do have these anxious moments in life, I first ask, am I looking at these rationally? Everyone has like a rational thought process and irrational thought process. And once I, kind of realized this aspect, when I was in these moments, I would just ask, is this a rational thought or an irrational thought? And once you're kind of like, okay, this is an irrational thought, you can kind of a little bit slide it off. The other thing that has been super impactful for me is when I'm in these moments, because for me, the anxiety may come over like, what if this happens, or this event, or what? That's usually the driver for me. And I always ask myself, worst case scenario, this event happens. Would the people who love me, who truly care about me, would that influence the way they looked at me? Would they act differently around me? And what I realized, the people who truly care about you, they love you because they love you. And even if this event happened, they would love me just the same. And that was probably the big things that I've used from the anxiety aspect.
Right. So I think I remember in your video, going back to kind of seeing the psychologist, you said you didn't make a connection with them. So do you think the fact that you didn't make a connection was a reason why it didn't work for you in your scenario?
Yeah, I would say that definitely was
The only reason I say that
Yeah.
is because what I hear from you is a lot about the support that you had with family and other people that you love. So I'm
Yeah.
wondering if that was kind of the missing component.
I think that was it, because it was someone who didn't see me on, you know, a regular basis.
Right.
You know, I'm dropping out, and I think that was the thing, like, yeah, he cares about me, but it's not the same where, you know, he doesn't see things on a daily basis, and I've never actually thought about that way, but I think that very well is the best, what, you know, probably, yeah, I'm having a epiphany moment here.
Hey, how about that?
That was it, you
We
know.
got it on film. All
I know,
right.
right? Yeah, it was, and I'm sure he you know, he tried his best. I'm not knocking him at all, but it was like I didn't have that connection because I didn't feel, you know, people who care about you. It's hard to meet someone and instantly be like, oh, I met this Jude guy. He really truly cares about me.
Sure.
You know, where I didn't have that history, and I think that was probably the reason, because, you know, as you're familiar with, you know, on the story that I've shared, you know, when I later had depression, I went to a couple psychologists at that time period, and same thing, I didn't get much out of it, where it's more the people closest to me that, you know, gave me that hope, that the hand to hold on to.
Yeah.